All right, let's talk about Anthony Richardson. I screwed up and didn't cover this game live, but I'm making sure I still get a film study on his performance, as we got to see a decent amount of playing time from the guy who we haven't seen play a lot at the NFL level. Got hurt early on last year. Very interested in seeing how he's going to play this season. Well, let's talk about how he played in the one preseason game where he got pretty significant playing time. The concept itself is a zone coverage play, and you see this receiver's route going more over the middle. That is where Richardson is going to want to look on this play. They're running a play action, so hopefully that can get linebackers out of position. And you see that when he does run this play action, linebackers get a bit out of position, but Richardson really times this one very well. I mean, this is exactly when you would want to throw it for it to be as open as possible. It's not the most open you'll ever see, but it's open. Richardson puts this one right on the money, and they're able to get a completion. And that is definitely, I think, priority number one when you're talking about Anthony Richardson is you want to see him just be able to do the simple stuff, run an offense. That's kind of, the main thing you want to see him be able to do. And like a play like this, to me, shows that he's certainly capable of doing that. People have always kind of criticized Richardson for, I feel like people have acted like he's just this complete project, is, incapable of even understanding basic football concepts. And I've never really believed that to be true. He is a bit more raw of a prospect just simply because, he had less playing time. There is some of that there. But I think he still makes his fair share of smart decisions. Like this one, for example. It's zone coverage. You're going to see Richardson run to play action. He, at first, is looking down the field, right? And it looks like he's even ready to throw down the field. And I think this is genuinely what he is thinking of doing. I don't think this is a fake or anything. But he is going to decide kind of halfway through this, maybe it's not the best idea to throw it down the field. So instead, he's going to pull it back and just hit his check down. And hey, they pick up the first down on a 2nd and 1. I saw Richardson do things like this pretty frequently, I thought, when he was out there, which is definitely, I think, good to see. But then there's also stuff like this where it's going to be pretty much the same thing. So it's a zone coverage concept once again. Okay, well, what's going to happen? Well, Richardson takes the snap, again, doesn't love what he sees down the field, so okay, no worries. We saw what he could do earlier, he's going to just do the same thing, right? Hit the check down. Well, this time he is going to just, it's a bit off, right? That's a catchable ball. People always, I feel freak out sometimes when I show a play where it's it could have been caught, but I still put some blame on the quarterback. The reality is Richardson didn't hit his spot there. Sure, it could have still been caught, but it's a more difficult catch than it needed to be. This one's kind of another example. On a 3rd down and 6, you see one of these over-the-middle routes. It gets open, but Richardson's throw is just a bit high. Okay, does Calvin Johnson make that catch? Sure. But, at the same time, that wasn't where Richardson wanted it to be. And because it wasn't where he wanted it to be, it made it tougher on the receiver, who then didn't catch it. But there also were things like this, I thought, where this is going to be a man coverage play, and it's going to be the route going more towards the sideline, towards the top of the screen. That is the one Richardson is going to look towards. Richardson takes the snap right here. He does look in that direction and fires in that direction. And as of right here, there is a very small window for him to make this throw. If this is going to be a touchdown, he's going to have to put this one right on the money. But to his credit, I think this is a really good throw. Okay, it wasn't caught, and I'm not sure if I would just classify that as a drop because it was going to be a difficult catch. But Richardson kind of didn't have a spot where he could make it an easy catch. It was either make it so that his receiver could make a tough catch, or have it be that the receiver has no chance of a catch. An easy catch wasn't on the table right there. And to me, I do think it's interesting with Richardson that when you see his good plays, when he's hitting guys, it really is like this, right? Where you just wonder, how can this guy not hit at the NFL level? Look at these awesome plays. It's just a consistency thing, because then he goes and makes plays like the next one. As of right here, definitely a play that we have to talk about in this evaluation. It is a zone coverage play. You have a tight end who's going to get into a gap in coverage right here. So when Richardson takes the snap, you see that, you can see why Richardson wants to make this throw, right? Absolutely. And I'm not even saying I think it was a bad read. He's already in the throwing motion. Sure, this totally makes sense. To me, I think the biggest issue here is where the ball placement is going to be. You see how it's just too far towards the middle of the field right there, and that allows the Bengals player, who, I gotta give him credit, had a great read on the ball to jump in and make the play. But I think if that ball is thrown a little bit further away, then it's going to be a completion right here. I don't know if Richardson didn't see the Bengals defender or if he, I think, just kind of missed the throw a little bit, threw it too far towards the inside. It's these little things, though, that get you killed at the NFL level. You have to be more aware of this stuff. So, again, I'm going to be a little bit nicer than I think your average person would towards an interception like this. Like, I am a believer in most interceptions are good defensive plays. But, of course, there always is something you can do to prevent an interception as a quarterback. And here, I think a bit better ball placement and maybe getting the ball out a little bit earlier as well would have been a better decision, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to what we've seen from Anthony Richardson as a whole, which is you get a lot of good stuff with him. The good plays aren't just good, they're awesome. And in this game, we didn't even really see a ton of rushing, which obviously we know that's a big part of his game. But still, even with the throwing, you see the splash plays, and you see some of the mistakes. You see some of the accuracy issues that continue to be an issue for Richardson. So, how much better do I feel about him after this preseason game? I guess, well, first, let me rate the preseason game. I thought it was okay. Like I said, I think there was a couple missed throws, and the pick six wasn't ideal. He did do a pretty good job at running the offense outside of that, though. So, I think I'm gonna stick with a 5. I guess I would say a 5 out of 10. Again, a pick six is just gonna hurt your grade. Like, that's just how it's gonna be. But I still thought he did a pretty good job outside of it, so I'm not gonna crush him for it necessarily. But yeah, how well do I feel about him now compared to how I view him heading into this before this preseason game, I should say? Like, the way I always view preseason is that it in isolation doesn't mean that much, but when you can, it's just, the way I see it, another piece of information to add on to the already large amount of information we have on these players. And for me, yeah, with this additional information, I don't think we learned that much, to be honest. I think we kind of know that he is someone who is capable of making good plays. I do think that he did a pretty good job at reading the offense. I think that's maybe the one thing you can look towards, is that was a question a lot of people had entering last season, was how well can he run the offense? How well can he not really understand these concepts, but pick up these concepts? Because again, just doesn't have the playing time. But I always thought those issues were a bit overblown at the college level, and also this is simpler concepts in the preseason, so it's not that optimistic that he picked them up. But it would be concerning if he wasn't running the offense well, so the fact that he is running the offense well, I think is good. So, yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on Anthony Richardson. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.